Hello, going to make this brief. I was going to talk about North Carolina's attempt to perform a 10th Amendment nullification of the First Amendment and writing religion into the Constitution, but I figure I'll wait to see how that pans out as far as court cases and such. Instead, I'd like you to turn to the link below to an alternate piece that is written by a Mr. Hussein, who wants to tell us about how, or ask the question, are the new atheist bigoted tools of empire? I'd like you to go read that. Pause the video. Go ahead. Okay, now that you're back, and if you are Mr. Hussein, please listen carefully. Please understand what I am saying is very narrowly constrained to this piece. I have not read the rest of your writing, nor in the mood I'm in do I think I should, at least at this point. You start off by listing off a bunch of statements from what I suppose, if you were very, very, very generous, you could call a scientist or a biologist in the 1700s, a time at which we were just starting to get a handle on electricity. The Wild West was Kentucky a while ago. You know, not long in the global history sense of things, but very long in the sense of science and pseudoscience. And you paint a history of institutional racism and scientific racism, which, if you felt like being current, you would have looked up people like the recently deceased Philippe J. Rushton and Arthur Jensen, and as well as the still living gentleman who I forget his name, but had a study in Nature published, and his pet crusade is to prove that Ashkenazi Jews are genetically smarter than the rest of us. To oversimplify it dramatically, although his study was atrocious and sloppy, to put it mildly. But instead you reached back to the 1700s. And you then attempted, in this wide leap of something, decided to go from 1700 racist, or 1800, whatever, late 18th century asshole who was going off of phrenology to new atheists, but only speaking about three. Of course, you didn't mention the fourth horseman, Arthur Dennett. But you mentioned Sam Harris, who, as a neuroscientist, is shaky at best. Dawkins, who hasn't contributed to the field of biology since the 1980s. And Hitchens, who is not a scientist at all. But they do have in common that they're the face of new atheism, and that they're hawks about Islam in the Middle East. Although I'm certain they have some pretty pithy things to say about Indonesia and Islam and Britain and things like that. But well, let's go over this roster one more time. We have Sam Harris, who, and I know I'm going to alienate a lot of my atheist friends this way, but you've already seen my videos hating on Sam Harris, so I don't give a fuck. Sam Harris, who is a self-important idiot, who is in a bubble of false self-confidence and easy certainty about his conclusions, and the belief that morality can be derived scientifically when it is about motivation, which is emotional, and therefore non-scientific in at least any testable sense. We have Dawkins, who, although he is a great educator and does have some very good things to say, when he's talking about foreign policy in the Middle East, he is way out of his depth and out of his expertise. And Hitchens, who, the two most significant events in his life, 9/11 and being waterboarded, well, getting cancer also was significant, and it also did mellow his tone a bit towards a lot of things, but changed his mind in dramatic and wildly swinging ways that were complete breaks from his past. And say what you want about Hitchens, he, of the three, is an asshole, was an asshole, who knew he was an asshole, and went with it, because it was his strength, and I can totally get that. But when you have to personally be waterboarded to get through your head that maybe the experience of drowning has some connection to torture, when you need that to overcome your lack of empathy about something, about a particular subject, that gives me all the support for the new atheist leader that he was, that the Republican senators who are turning around on gay marriage because their kid just came out. You know, Dick Cheney may have a positive stance on gay marriage that is informed by his experience with his daughter, but guess what? He's still Dick Cheney and a warmongering fuckhole. Just saying. Moving on in the article. He talks about new atheists without describing what that is. Please, if you will, if you're going to write a picture and then sell it, or write a piece and then sell it, maybe define the term that is the center of the piece you're writing about, the piece you're writing. Maybe that would be helpful, because I'm betting you can't define new atheism. I know I can't, okay? All I know is that people keep on talking about it. And as an atheist, that really puzzles me, because nobody means the same thing when they say it. All right? Second, maybe you should look at the generalizations these three people made, and then look at the generalizations you make about atheism and claims of scientific respectability, and go, maybe I'm stirring shit in the same way they are. And maybe you could have picked a more difficult target. Writing an alternate, you could have talked about Elizabeth Warren, who, although is not an atheist, she is a popular economic progressive with a hawkish stance on Iran. Just saying. Maybe you could have talked about John Kerry and his positions. Or maybe you could have written about foreign policy in the Middle East, and Middle East affairs, which is supposedly your focus, which would have talked about how, through the drone program and shit like that, the United States government is doing its best to make conflict in the Middle East a political void so it can complete its pivot to China and North Korea and the Far East. That's just my suggestion, because I'm sure a lot of school teachers would be very, very puzzled at your link between atheism and science, or atheism and the perception of science, unless they're Bible-believing Christians who believe that evolution is a lie, or whatever. And maybe you should, maybe, just maybe, and again, I'm just speaking about this one piece, and this is just a reaction to this one piece, but maybe you should think about the fact that most of the new atheism stuff I've read has been about Christianity. Maybe because that's what most of the atheists in the Western English-speaking world are focused on. And maybe the people who get the most press attention as being from a particular group are the ones who are most willing to, one, confirm the conventional wisdom, which is bomb the Middle East, which is bullshit. I totally agree with you on that one. And making the point about Islam not being a race, you really didn't support very well that contention was being made by them. But, calming down, it very much seems that This is one of those moments in identity politics that freaks me the fuck out and makes me hate identity politics, which is when someone focusing on one identity group looks at another identity group and an internal weirdness and a few public faces that are fucked up in some way that human beings are, and makes it about them. Fine, call out those people for doing that, but then making the appeal that the moderate should stand up. What the hell is a moderate atheist anyway? I'd really like you to define that, because as far as I know, moderate atheist means doesn't say shit that's scary and bad. Am I far off there? Because that's definitely an outside perspective. That's looking at an entire group as a single mass and just differentiating shades of gray within that mass, when that's not how it works at all. It doesn't work for Islam, it doesn't work for atheism, it doesn't work for Christianity. It doesn't work. But it also is a pivot that's like the men's rights movement, who are saying, oh, it's all about the feminists trying to take away men's rights, when the men's rights movement was initially founded, not the public face of it, but was initially addressing things like prison rape and the overwhelming tendency of divorce courts to award custody to women, and things like, you know, small things, which then were totally overrun by fuckers. Or I could go on and on. Or the people who hate feminists because, oh, they must want to take away our rights. Oh my God. In any case, what you are doing is an incredible amount of generalization, and oh my God, the condescending appeal to moderates. Just how many times have we heard people on Fox News go, oh, moderate Muslims should speak out, when guess what they do? All right? And well, moderate atheists, whatever the fuck that is, should speak out against Hitchens and Dawkins and saying stupid shit about the Middle East that they don't know. Guess what we do? All right? Look at some of Dick Coughlin's videos about Pat Condell. The last thing I want to say is, with these overbroad generalizations, with these, the fucked up picking of an easy target to throw rocks at, and then proclaiming, you know, it came across as very cowardly and very self-righteous. You know, guess what? This is the internet. And speaking as someone from the United States, we know self-righteous. We know stupid, shallow bullshit that makes you dumber, okay? Stop helping. We don't need any more. Whatever else you write, don't do that you did in that paper. Please, stop helping. We've got it covered. Thank you for your time and attention. Oh, and just because I'd like Alternate and him to see this reaction, if you like this video, if I made any sense at all, please click on the second link, which I'm going to put in shortly after this video is posted, and hopefully by the time you're done watching this, which is a link to my tweet. I'm going to tweet to him and to Alternate about this video. Please retweet that if you have a Twitter account. Once again, thank you for your time and attention.